Okay, so the last week in AI, it's felt like a whole year packed into 7 days. Seriously, the pace is just insane. You've got these huge companies building massive new projects, and at the same time, there are all these crazy new tools you can actually download right now. But to really get a grip on what's happening, we've got to start with a story that cuts through all that noise. It's a really personal one, and it's about how AI literally just saved a life.
Yeah, it all kicks off with this headline. And I know, it sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, right? But what's wild is this isn't some study from a fancy billion-dollar lab. Nope. This is about one guy whose dog got a terminal diagnosis. The experts had no more answers, so he turned to AI and basically built a solution himself.
Just take a second and let that sink in. 75% tumor shrinkage. That is what this is all about. You hear all the hype, you see all the headlines, but this is the real promise of AI. It's the power to tackle these incredibly complex, deeply personal problems that, frankly, we just couldn't solve yesterday.
So, the big question is, how did this even happen? I mean, this was no lucky guess. It was a really methodical process, a perfect example of a human and an AI working together. So let's break it down. Let's see how this incredible personal miracle actually came to be.
So check this out. It's not like he just used one single AI. This Australian consultant, Paul Conningham, he basically became an orchestra conductor for a whole suite of AI tools. He used stuff like ChatGPT to dig into existing treatments. Then he brought in DeepMind's AlphaFold, which is amazing, to analyze the specific proteins in his dog's tumor. And with all that data, he found existing FDA-approved substances that he could repurpose into a brand new, custom-made mRNA vaccine. I mean, it is just an absolutely stunning example of AI-powered do-it-yourself biohacking.
Wow.
Okay, so this one story is mind-blowing on its own, right? But it's also a sign of a much bigger shift. Think about it. If one person can pull this off, what happens when we put these kinds of tools directly into the hands of doctors and scientists every single day? We're seeing AI move out of the research lab and straight into the hospital, basically acting as a co-pilot for clinicians.
And that brings us to this, MedOS. So what is it? It's a clinical AI co-pilot, and it's built by a total powerhouse team from Stanford and Princeton. The whole goal here is to take that same kind of AI reasoning we just talked about and put it to work in real time, right there in the middle of treating a patient.
So you might be wondering, how does this actually work? Well, picture this. A doctor wears a pair of smart glasses. MedOS sees what they see, analyzing everything in real time. It can instantly pull up critical patient info, check symptoms against all the latest medical research, all to help with those split-second decisions. And the goal here is super important. It's not about replacing doctors. It's about giving them a superpower, augmenting them to help reduce errors and burnout. It's like having this brilliant assistant with you at all times. And get this isn't some far-off future thing. It's already being used at Stanford.
All right, so these applications are just incredible. But it begs the question, what's actually powering all this stuff? Well, under the surface, there is a massive, colossal race happening. The biggest tech companies on the planet are scrambling to build the fundamental infrastructure. We're talking chips, data centers, software, everything that's going to power the next wave of AI.
First up in this race, Elon Musk's xAI. And they're not just buying chips off the shelf like everyone else. Oh no. They are going all in, building their own complete system from the ground up, and they're calling it the Terafab.
And the pace they're moving at is just staggering. The reports are saying they plan to launch this thing in just 7 days. This whole move is about one thing: total control. They want to own the entire AI stack, from their own custom chips all the way to the software. And why? Well, when your goals are things like truly self-driving cars and humanoid robots, you need a ridiculous amount of computing power, the kind you just can't buy anywhere else.
All right, so over at Google, they're tackling a different but just as important problem. The question is, how do you get these super smart digital AIs to understand the messy, physical, real world? Their answer involves a couple of projects, and they have great names: GroundSource and Nano Banana 2.
So, with GroundSource, what Google did was pretty clever. They took their Gemini model and fed it decades of news reports all about real-world floods. This literally grounds the AI. It teaches it to connect the words and pictures it sees to actual physical events on a map. And what's powering all this is the Nano Banana 2 update. Think of it as a new engine that makes all this complex thinking super efficient. You get almost all the power of their biggest model, but for just a fraction of the cost. Pretty smart.
Now, you can't talk about the AI race without mentioning Anthropic. They're a huge competitor to OpenAI and Google, and they just dropped a massive update to their Claude models. The big story here is they've expanded the model's memory. And when I say expanded, I mean they've completely changed the game for what you can do in a single chat. Just look at that number, 1 million. That is the new token context window. What does that mean? Well, you can think of it as the AI's short-term memory. It's how much information it can hold in its head at once. Before, maybe you could feed it a chapter of a book. Now, you could give it the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy, including the appendices, and then ask it a super specific question about one line of dialogue, and it'll understand the context of the whole epic saga.
So what does that actually mean for you? Well, in practice, with these new Claude models, you can upload a, say, 600-page document and just have a conversation about it. This is an absolute game changer for anybody who has to deal with massive amounts of text. Think developers with huge code bases, lawyers with complex contracts, or analysts with long financial reports. The model is just way, way better at finding that one crucial detail, that needle in a gigantic haystack.
Okay, so those are the big players making huge, earth-shaking moves. But honestly, the innovation is happening so fast that even those massive announcements are only part of the story. So let's do a quick rapid-fire round. This is just a handful of other headlines that have dropped in the last, 48 hours.
Over in the defense world, Palantir showcased a new AI strike system. It's designed to help with military targeting.
Then from the academic side, Stanford launched something called OpenJANIS. It's an open-source project for building personal AI agents that run right on your own computer, which means more privacy and more control for you.
And even the models we all know and use are getting constant tweaks. There was a new GPT update that reportedly fixed some image bugs and made the vision quality better. The point is, it just never, ever stops. Okay, wow. So after all of that, from cancer cures to corporate giants building terafabs, you're probably asking, okay, that's cool, but what about me? What can I use right now? Well, that's the final piece of this puzzle. There's a whole explosion of new tools that put all this power right into your hands. Let's take a look at 3 of them.
First up, there's something called Junior AI. And check out how they're framing this, not as a tool, but as an autonomous AI employee. The whole idea is that it plugs into the software you already use, learns how your company operates, and then just starts doing tasks for you proactively.
Next, this one's for all you coders out there. It's called GSAC. It essentially takes that powerful Claude model we talked about and turns it into a super specialized coding assistant. It's already got custom commands for things like reviewing your plans, automating your web browser, and a bunch more. It's a really cool way to just supercharge your whole workflow. And last but not least, for all the creators watching, 11 Labs just launched 11 Creator. Think of it as an all-in-one platform for making and editing entire podcasts and videos, all with AI. We're talking AI voices, AI music, even AI visuals. And it can do it in over 70 languages. Just incredible.
So let's just recap. In the span of just a handful of days, we've seen AI help create a personalized cancer treatment. We've seen it spark a race to build these massive terafabs. And it's delivering tools that can literally be your next employee or your creative studio. It's touching everything from our personal health to global industry. So really, the only question left is, what on earth is it going to create next week?